Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Real Estate 101. And this is our podcast where we talk everything real estate. So on this platform, we've talked about several topics, a plethora of them, but there is one that we have not covered yet. Topic, when it is brought to you, hear people just clear their throat and look aside and say, tutajipanga tu. That is because, when a man just does that, things are tight. What we are talking about today is specifically money, because money is the engine that runs everything. After you've bought your shamba, that is what next. So this is the what next that we are covering in today's issue. How you can build your home minus or your phone vibrating in them every morning with loan reminders. Hey, Buddha, ujalipa loan. Let's talk about building smart, not broke, and not stressed and not hiding for those chamas who are going to come chota you, like I was saying. When you make a mistake, you take a loan from a loan shark. Like here in Kenya, we say, utajua ujui. You will know, you don't know. That is, I'm paraphrasing it. So yeah, this episode, we are going to talk about all that. Let's dive right into it, people. First segment, we are going to be talking about somewhere along the way, we were taught that the moment you bought land, you must immediately get a loan, start building, and then suffer bravely, because when you take a loan and you don't have means to pay it, people think when you just buy land, you have to you have to start building immediately. You have to have the materials on site. You have to do all those things at once. But that is because you think that you're impressing people outside there. There is nobody who's going to be like the fastest person who ever roofed a house while financially distressed. There is no need for you to start with a mansion. You don't need to impress anyone, and anyone who's telling you otherwise, your pocket. Proper permanent houses cost money if you want to build like instant. Because the goodness with phased building is that your money still stays alive and your stress level stays low and your project doesn't turn into a family drama. There is no proper way to actually finance a build. There are many ways. Like I said, the first one is loans, and be careful who you take your loans from, because loan sharks are exactly that, sharks. And if you're taking from a bank, you should know that you can be able to service that loan. They are like SACCOs, personal savings. You can build from personal savings, and you can build from chamas. There are guys who are in chamas, and there are small targeted loans, the ones I've been talking about. Chamas, they offer no pressure. One of the things that kills any real investor is the interest that you have to pay, and on the principal repayments that start running. And they gather quite a substantial interest. So you see, when you're in chamas, that is one of the advantages of being in a chama, because it is just like no interest piling up. All you have to do is just you have to be disciplined and repay the loans quite promptly, and then you will survive, because the smartest builders don't just use one method. You mix carefully, and the simple rule, if you're building, plan makes you avoid calls from unknown numbers. You're moving too fast, because when your phone rings and beads of sweat drop from your face, you're trying too hard, bro. Because there are guys who just hear the phone just even buzz or vibrate, and they jump like 3 meters high, because they know there's somebody somewhere. A house should give you shelter, not anxiety, because you will not even enjoy that house. You're building it, but your blood pressure level is through the roof. budget for invisible costs. That's the next thing I want to talk about, because many people think when you just bought land, everything is finished. No, because when you've just bought land, you have to feature in, I said this in my previous episode, you have to factor in things like fencing that place. You have to be like budget for those invisible costs, because many projects have fallen because people didn't take into consideration about those things that we call miscellaneous costs, and these include the county approval, the electricity connection costs are more than expected, transport costs, because when you start building, that is when you will know, because when you get in materials to your site, you are going to sweat beads of salt, man, because transport doubles. Like right now when fuel prices are very high, you buying material at a very exorbitant rate, and right now people are like, this is not the time to build, and that is why progress suddenly stalls and the world stop mid-air, and you're like, what? I didn't know this is going to happen. Because when you project like you want to finish this house, factor everything in, and that is why I was saying that you have to build in phases, leaving breathing room in your budget. That is what I'm trying to say, because there are things that crop up that you didn't expect, and you're supposed to be like catering them. Always, as I said, concrete waits, but bills don't. And another thing I wanted to say, it does not mean like when you own land that you have to act immediately, that you have to be like. That is why I came in with that issue I was saying about Facebook statuses or WhatsApp statuses. You see your friends are finishing their houses and you are like, land, first of all, that is a big step you've made. If you bought land, that is a big step you've made, because it means you have security, you have options, and you have negotiating power, because that portion of land, no matter what the size is, has a lot of potential things that you can do with it. Okay, in closing, sometimes the smartest move is patience. Just take your time, because real estate is not about impressing people. It's about stability. You won't win by building the fastest, because some guys, hey, I built that house in like 3 months or 6 months or whatever. It is not a competition. You win by building in a way that your income can let you survive. This has been Real Estate 101. And until next time, I'm just saying, plan wisely and do things pragmatically, because when you rush things, that's when, as I keep saying, you make mistakes. Because a slow build with peace is better than a fast build with regret. Be reasonable. It is just a house and it's a piece of land. Let me see you on the next one, guys, and thank you.